When you see national headlines about a real estate market that is cooling off or softening, I need you to understand that the Kansas City real estate market as a whole is operating on a completely different set of facts. Buyers are competing for the right to pay full price or even better, and the data proves it. Our own listing saw a significant increase in showings over the last couple of weeks, including a couple of properties that had been sitting for a while that suddenly got offers. Every week, I watch buyers sit on the sidelines waiting for the Kansas City market to slow down. I just pulled the March numbers from Heartland MLS, and I need to show you what they actually say because it's not the story that you're hearing on the news. We're going to go through the metro numbers and then break down the 5 primary counties we serve. But before we get into the data, I want to ask you something. If more homes are selling and prices are going up, why are some buyers actually in a worse position today than they were in December? The answer is in these numbers, and I'm going to show you exactly what shifted. Stick with me. I'm Joe Nelson, team leader of the Nelson Home Group at Keller Williams KC North, licensed mortgage originator and a 21-year retired Air Force veteran. Our team is the highest rated real estate team on Google in all of Kansas City. And I make these videos because I want to work with you. It's the whole reason we do this. If anything I cover today applies to your situation, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to figure out what is actually happening in this market, reach out. My contact information is right below the video in the description. Now, let me show you what March 2026 actually looked like in the Kansas City real estate market. Let's start with the big picture. Across the entire Heartland MLS, that's the Kansas City Metro, there were 3,047 closed sales in March 2026. In March 2025, there were 2,742. That is 305 more homes that actually closed in a single month compared to that month last year. 11.1% more closed sales year over year. And Kansas City home prices moved with that volume. The average sales price came in at $388,431, up 7.7%. The median sales price hit $325,000, up 8.3%. When you see national headlines about a real estate market that is cooling off or softening, I need you to understand that the Kansas City real estate market as a whole is operating on a completely different set of facts. More transactions, higher prices, less inventory. In most places, there may be pockets where that's not a true story in Kansas City. That is not a market that's slowing down. It's a market with real demand and not enough supply to meet it. We've been saying this all year. The March data is just confirming it. Year to date through the end of March, we have 7,508 closed sales metro-wide compared to 6,837 through the same point last year. 9.8% more transactions in the first quarter of 2026 than the first quarter of 2025. If you've been watching this market, waiting for prices to drop or competition to ease, send us a text or shoot us an email. My contact info is right below the video. We work with buyers and sellers in exactly this position every single week, and a 10-minute conversation could completely change how you're looking at this market. Now, let me take you inside the 5 primary counties we serve because that is where the real story in the Kansas City real estate market lives. And I want to say this up front. If your county's not one of the 5 we cover today, reach out. We'll pull your specific county data and send it straight to you. Johnson County first, because that number stopped me when I saw it. 737 closed sales in March versus 612 last year, up over 20%. Days on market dropped to 39, the fastest in any county in the metro. But here's the number that really tells the Johnson County story right now. The average home sold for 100.3% of its original list price. Think about what that means. The average is over asking. That means for every home that sells slightly under list price, there are homes selling well above it to pull that average past 100%. If the average is over asking, plenty of individual transactions are going significantly over asking. This is what a low inventory environment does to a market at that price point. Sellers in JOCO are not negotiating right now. Buyers are competing for the right to pay full price or even better, and the data proves it. Jackson County covers a big portion of the metro, including places like Lee Summit, Independence, Blue Springs, Kansas City, Urban Core, things like that. 830 closed sales in March, up 4.5% over last year. Median sales price is at $275,000, up 7.8%. One number I'm watching in Jackson County heading into April, pending sales dropped 10.1% in March. That is the one softening signal in an otherwise strong county report. 1 month does not make a trend, but it will be worth watching next month. Clay County is in the Northland, and it had the single most dramatic number in this entire report. In March 2025, there were 265 closed sales in Clay County. In March of 26, there were 368. That is a 38.9% more closed sales in a single month year over year. Nearly 103 additional transactions in one county in 1 month compared to the same month last year. Supply in Clay County is down to 1.6 months. I want to put a face on that number because our team's living it right now with a client over the last several weeks. We had a buyer looking in the Northland around $215,000. Tough price point. Good buyer, pre-approved, ready to move. We wrote 3 offers. We lost all 3 in the multiple offer situations before we finally got them under contract on the 4th attempt. Now that we have the March data in hand, I understand exactly why that happened. This buyer was shopping in the county where closed sales surged almost 40% year over year at a price where nearly every qualified buyer in the Northland is competing for the same home. Here's what I want buyers to understand about that experience. This is not bad luck. This is what 1.6 months supply feels like when you're shopping in a county that just saw that kind of surge. In December and January, we were negotiating purchase price down and getting sellers to cover closing costs. That is not happening on fresh listings right now. If you need the seller to cover your closing costs, you need to target homes that have been sitting for maybe 20 to 30 days or more. On a fresh listing in the Northland right now, you are competing and you need to come prepared to do that. Wyandotte County gives us the most important affordability data in the metro. Median sales price is at $240,000. It's still up 6.7%. Inventory is down 14.2%. Supply is at 1.8 months in Wyandotte. Wyandotte is the most accessible entry point in the metro for buyers, and even that market is tightening. The window for entry-level buyers in Wyandotte County is not getting wider. Platte County is the one I want to address honestly because the numbers look different from every other county in this report. Closed sales were down 6.5% in March compared to last year. I'm not going to spin that into something it's not yet, but here's the context. Platte County had 116 closed sales in March. That's a thin monthly data set where a handful of deals that were supposed to close late in the month can swing the percentage greatly if they move to the next month. More importantly, look at what the other numbers are saying. Inventory dropped 18.3%, the biggest inventory drop of any county in this report. Pending sales are up 13.5%. Median price is up 8.2% to nearly $430,000. The pipeline is building. The closed sales numbers in March do not tell the same story the rest of the Platte County data is telling, and we'll be watching April closely to see if that pending sales surge converts the way that I think it's going to. I want to add something to this data that you will not find in any MLS report because it happened when the month started. Remember the numbers we just talked about through our March data. They are already several weeks old by the time you're watching this video. So what I can tell you from what we are seeing on the ground in April right now is that activity level has jumped. Our own listing saw a significant increase in showings over the last couple of weeks, including a couple of properties that had been sitting for a while that suddenly got offers. When listings that had gone quiet start getting activity again, that tells you something about where buyer demand is heading. The March data is strong. My honest read, based on what we're seeing in real time, is that April is going to be even more active. If you're thinking about moving to Kansas City or you're already here and you're trying to time your next move, pending sales in April are going to be worth watching closely. Now, here's the answer to the question I asked at the top of the video. If more homes are selling and Kansas City home prices are going up, why are some buyers in a worse position today than they were in December? Mortgage rates. Over the last several weeks, rates went up 5 consecutive weeks in a row. The conflict with Iran, what that did to oil prices, and what oil prices do to inflation expectations feed directly into mortgage rate movement. 5 straight weeks up, rising rates do not immediately stop a real estate market, but they compress purchasing power fast. A buyer who qualified for $350,000 at one rate may be now looking at $320,000 at a higher rate. Now remember, by the time you're watching this, these numbers could have changed, but that math changes what they can compete on and where they can afford to buy. That is the real answer to why some buyers are in a tighter spot today than they were at the end of last year, even though they did everything right. The middle of April was the first week rates did not move higher, and they have seemed to stall out a little bit. But 1 week is not a trend, and what we're watching right now is what happens with the ceasefire and how that affects oil markets over the next 30 to 60 days. If oil prices stabilize or come down, that relieves some of the inflationary pressure that has been pushing rates up. If the situation escalates, rates could move in another direction. As a licensed mortgage originator, I can tell you the difference between rates holding here and moving another 0.5% matters to every buyer in this market right now if they're on a tight budget. We're watching it every week. Every month when the new Heartland MLS data drops, we will publish a free monthly KC market update you can download straight from our website. Real numbers broken down by county, no natural spin, no agenda. Just what is actually happening in the Kansas City real estate market. Head to our website and sign up to get it sent straight to you the moment it's available for free. Here's the thing, we make these videos because we want to work with you. That is the whole reason we do this. If you're buying in Kansas City right now, we want you walking into this market prepared, knowing what the data says, knowing what to expect at the offer table, knowing what the rate environment means for your purchasing power. If you're selling, you need to understand what your home is worth in the market right now because the numbers are telling a strong story and not enough sellers are hearing it. You can reach us right through the link below. Text, email, book a call directly on our calendar. However is easiest for you, we'll be there. Don't sit on this. The market moves fast, and the sooner we talk, the more options you'll have. I'm Joe Nelson. Let's get to work.